Hey everybody, Rock here, and in this video we're going to be ranking every OG episode of SpongeBob from worst to best. In fact, we're going to be fixing this awful list. If it was unanimously decided that this was the official representation of the best of SpongeBob, particularly from the Golden Era, that would be atrocious. What is this list, and why is it so bad? Well, in 2006, the Best Day Ever Marathon premiered the top 100 episodes of SpongeBob ranked by fan votes. I was one of those kids who voted, and if you watched SpongeBob growing up, chances are you voted online too. And I mentioned this in my last video because I thought this was because there were 100 total episodes out at the time. But upon further investigation, I found out that there's actually 42 episodes that didn't make the list, and there's bangers in there. It is disrespectful and atrocious that these ones did not make the list. Dumbass kids. You think Ripped Pants isn't a top 100 episode? You think Club SpongeBob and Secret Box and Artist Unknown aren't top 100 episodes on a list out of 142? So we gotta fix this list. The 142 episodes on it include all of the first 3 seasons, which is largely considered to be the best of SpongeBob, and a little over half of Season 4 as well. And I think including some Season 4 is important from an analysis perspective. What about these episodes works and what about them doesn't work? The criteria I'm ranking these episodes on are basically 2 major factors: concept and execution. And speaking about concept, a great episode of SpongeBob is so iconic and memorable that simply seeing the title card will evoke the feeling of the episode, and maybe at least a moment or two from it. Concept is, what is the episode about? What is the core conflict? What do the characters want? And what thoughts and feelings are being explored? Concept is how iconic it is, how memorable it is, how good of an idea it is. And then there's execution, or in watching it back, the enjoyability of the episode. Maybe the title card reminds you of the episode, but when you watch it back today, do you actually still enjoy it? Or are your rose-colored nostalgia glasses on? Execution or enjoyability is about how compelling each scene is, how the plot and the conflict evolve, how on point the humor is that episode. Some episodes will exceed in one or the other, and of course the best ones found a way to do both. So grab a snack. I've labeled the chapters in the video by tier if you want to skip around, and let's get started ranking old SpongeBob from worst to best. Shiver me timbers! Naturally, starting off a worst to best list is the F tier. These are the only, bad episodes on this list to me. There's not too many of them, and just to keep it real, it's mostly the Season 4 episodes.
We are the board of directors of Tree Dome Enterprises.
At least there's one thing right off the bat that the original top 100 list and mine agree on, and that's that Chimps Ahoy does not belong on it. This episode blows. We don't get to see Sandy do anything cool like she normally does. She can't think of any inventions to show her bosses, so SpongeBob and Patrick make a terrible machine that tortures this guy for an actual on-screen minute, because pain is funny. Yeah, I'm glad we could agree on this one, kids.
First order of business. A short guest list consisting of only your
This is a 24-minute special episode, and I actually like Patchy's scenes. But this episode is just a long stretch of SpongeBob overplanning and micromanaging a party.
What's going on here? The laughter isn't scheduled until 9:03.
I get that that's the point of the episode. It's just not enjoyable to watch. It just feels stressful and annoying, especially since it's longer than an 11-minute episode.
Ouch. Squidward? You've injected me with snail plasma.
Alright, so if you're the type of person who likes to torture yourself with a bad trip, then maybe this is a lot higher on your list. But me, this is one of the few episodes of SpongeBob from the first 3 seasons where I see the title card, and I'm actually not excited for what follows. As a Halloween episode, it succeeds in making me feel scared and uncomfortable, but on a list of the best episodes of SpongeBob, it fails to make me happy to be watching it. I like the doctor scene, and that's about it.
The secret royal order of the Good Neighbor Lodge.
What?
SpongeBob and Patrick are just annoying in this one. They're annoying to Squidward and to us. I will point out how in higher tiers on this list, better episodes will use SpongeBob's annoying factor in a way that's just annoying to the other characters in the show, but not to us as the audience. This is not that, it's just annoying.
Another day, another nickel.
Squidward says another day, another nickel, and SpongeBob breaks his laugh box over it. Same deal as the last one, very annoying and a noticeable downgrade from the seasons before.
The problem's right here. He's got a little splinter in his foot.
Same deal here, copy paste from the last Season 4 critiques.
1, 2, 3.
SpongeBob breaks his spatula and is naked the whole episode. His new spatula looks like ass and then leaves him. The only thing I like is the silly little title drop at the end.
All that glitters is not gold.
I'll shrink the sub and myself down to microscopic size, then navigate through your brain.
Magic School Bus did it better before, Rick and Morty did it better after.
I'm hanging
hang up.
Wait! It's your secret admirer!
There's a potentially interesting concept here, because things could get complicated if Plankton falls in love with Mr. Krabs' mom. And that's enough to put it above the previous episodes for me. But same as the rest of them, the humor is just below what I know the true golden era of SpongeBob to be.
What happens?
Well, there's a city.
City?
Easily the worst Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episode of the 6 on this list. Rewatching this episode proved to me that in season 4, they really cranked up the pain factor and the gross factor. Maybe you can get away with it the first few years of airing it to kids, they'll just laugh about it, but when those kids grow up and make a YouTube video tier listing your episodes 20 years later, this one will be an F tier.
Hello, worthless students. I'm your new instructor.
Shark Guy is alright, the blindfold gimmick is alright, that's about it.
Suckers throw money down a hole for fun? That's the greatest scam ever!
So this one doesn't actually have the pain and gross factors, but they did crank up the stupid and annoying factors, simply for the sake of being stupid and annoying.
You really think this is the second best episode of SpongeBob?
I'm sorry, but this is not the second best episode of SpongeBob. What the fuck, gentlemen?
SpongeBob, take a vacation.
I do love the iconic SpongeBob losing his mind scene here.
Giving the best years of my life to this place and they think they can just fire me like that? Like trash? I don't think so.
That's some good shit, but the rest of this episode is boring and annoying.
What in tarnation?
Alright, I like the concept of this one. It's a good sandy science device. Why not? It's a good concept. I think most, not all, but most of the humor holds up.
You gave birth to a healthy baby boy.
May I see my baby?
Of course.
I think Rock On Freaky Bro is still cool.
Whoa! Rock on, Freaky Bro!
I will say the tugging scenes are mostly just uncomfortable and not funny, but I would still rather watch this than any of the ones below it, and that's why it's the crown jewel of F tier. Alright, now we're in the D tier. So I wouldn't call any of these bad episodes. I'd say they're mid or just okay. Yeah, like they're still like pretty good, just with like a couple problems to me. And a D tier SpongeBob episode might still be just as enjoyable to me as like a B tier episode of a different show. So these are still really good episodes. I don't think they're that bad.
I would fly so very high.
The highs of this one are pretty high, pun intended. I find the Patchy scenes to be genuinely funny, and I still love the Wox idols, Patchy's fit and undoing that fit, and remembering SpongeBob still makes me laugh.
It's best if you forget all about old SpongeBob.
Great stuff. The problem is, it's way too short in comparison to the rest of this episode. This is another 24-minute one, so the few scenes that it has that are good just don't make the rest worth it, especially, once again, when you got episodes that are 11 minutes doing more in that time. This is good exposition for jellyfishing. Firmly grasp it as fire.
Firmly grasp it!
But honestly, I think this is like one of the least good episodes of jellyfishing. Maybe the least good from the golden era. The running joke of Squid just getting hurt worse and worse doesn't really do it for me. And I've always felt that way, both as a kid and as an adult.
April Fools! There you go, pal.
So there's a few great moments in this one, like, you what? And some other bits. But, you know, as a kid and kind of now, I just didn't like that Squidward is a straight up dick. You know, it broke my heart. But the ending is good. And I guess you could make the argument that this episode teaches us, like, what going too far is so that we don't do it in real life. But again, on a tier list of most iconic and enjoyable episodes of SpongeBob, this is as far up as I could put it.
If that were me who slipped, I'd sue old man Krabs for all he's got.
Does that include the Krabby Patty formula?
Of course.
This one's pretty hit or miss for me. I actually really like the concept of Plankton resorting to, taking Mr. Krabs to court, trying to get the formula that way. The humor is actually good at times, but then it's super mad other times.
Ahem! Are you quite finished? For the new gift shop I'm opening up?
Alright, so this one made me feel some stuff, and I like the concept of Plankton's convoluted plan and Krabs having an even more convoluted plan to outsmart him. But this was in the top 10 on the kids list. The season 4 episodes were the ones premiering before the marathon, so I can understand the recency bias. I think there's a lot of shiny good shit to look at. I don't think that's a replacement for good writing, but we like looking at shiny good shit, so can't complain.
Do I still get the money?
Of course.
That'll be fine then. Here you go. Now, gimme.
I remember low-key liking this concept, and I still do, but man, the humor does not hold up. This wasn't as enjoyable of a rewatch as I was hoping it would be.
Gentlemen, meet Still Crane.
I might have even voted for this as a kid because I was like excited about seeing shiny good shit. It is aesthetically pleasing, it is enjoyable, but I do think it lacks the level of humor and wit that a lot of the classic episodes have. Good concept, I just feel like the execution or the enjoyability isn't super high on this one.
It's just me back is killing me. It's me old lumpy mattress. It's like trying to sleep on broken coral.
This one's got hits and misses. This was the childhood classic for me because...
How many do you think there are?
10.
And I still think that's kind of funny. But I really like this one.
My money was in that mattress!
Haven't you ever heard of a bank?
No!
So I really like those parts, but most of this episode is meh.
It's all about you, girl, on your 16th birthday.
Alright, we all know that Boys Who Cry at the end, It's All About You, Pearl, on your 16th birthday, is by far the best part of the episode. But is the beginning and middle worth it?
The Krusty Towers is now open for business!
I had a really good group chat named after this one, shouts out Krusty Towers, and that's enough to make me forgive this one ghost joke. It's fun, exploring hotel stuff. I still enjoy it aesthetically, some of the humor is okay. I think it's still generally fine.
My location where I'll be staying? Business or residence? Residence.
This one's just the Flying Dutchman constantly scaring SpongeBob with admittedly cool visuals, but most of the time no substance. I do like the power within. And I do like the Squidward scare sequence at the end. I'll give it that.
Squidums loves his mama. Why don't you call me then? Why don't you call me?
This one's one of the better season 4 ones to me. Best I can do is mid-tier. Yeah, Krabby Land's alright. You know, the concept checks out with Mr. Krabs' character, but honestly, for me, watching this just feels a little bit sad and disappointing. Like the kids are who just are getting their money stolen by cheap old Mr. Krabs, so it's alright.
There is one prank that I've been saving for a real top-of-the-line prankster. Invisible spray.
Pranks-A-Lot is alright. It's always been one of my least favorite from the first 3 seasons. I think the concept is pretty good, but comparing the pace of the humor in this one to some of the episodes higher on the list, this is just as high as I can comfortably put it.
It'd be the line to get into the salty spittoon, the roughest, toughest sailor club under the 7th sea.
So I think we all remember and like this concept, but rewatching it, yeah, it's very hit or miss.
The big boating exam is today.
In this episode, we get to meet Mrs. Puff and are introduced to SpongeBob's flaw of never passing his driving exam. I think it's good exposition. I just think it's like the least good boating episode of the ones to come. But it does succeed in planting the seeds for those episodes to sprout later.
And that makes you a big dummy, you dummy!
Yeah, well, that means that, so are you.
This is an interesting concept to have Squidward pit SpongeBob and Patrick against each other, only to find them even more annoying and then want them to become friends again. I also just love how dressed up Squid is, like treat yourself king. This is cute. And we get to see how Squidward is willing to be spiteful about his annoying neighbors to the point where he's amused by seeing them really hurt and really broken up with each other. I think the story beats and the moral are really good here. It's just a little bit slower and drier than the ones above it on this list.
This is Plankton stealing me booty!
Hear me, crabs.
Same as Boating School a couple spots ago, I actually think it's a good episode. I just think it's the least good of the Plankton episodes, but succeeds in laying the foundation for what's to come.
Shut your mouth, you mediocre clarinet player.
Mediocre?
2 brave knights who fall from the sky, sent by the king to rid the lamenting town of the evil dragon controlled by the one-eyed wizard.
Alright, I'm giving this one a lot of points for aesthetics, because I'll admit it is fun and interesting to explore the SpongeBob universe in medieval form. The aesthetics are hard carrying through this, because this does lack the peak humor and pacing the show had just a season prior. I almost demoted it to F tier when I heard this joke.
Oh, I didn't see you. You're so tiny.
For For centuries, the world's top karate artists have journeyed to this land to be crowned king of karate.
In my last video, when I brought up this list, I said that Karate Island was mid at best, and I stand by that statement. And I think it's disappointing because this episode could have been a lot better than it is. Maybe it was the #1 fan voted episode because we were all hyped about the fights and it was like a new episode at the time and Island, but imagine if you could go back and watch it today and still love watching it the whole time. I find that impossible. You can keep most of this episode the same and make it a lot better. My biggest problem with it is that the 3 fights that Sandy must go through to get SpongeBob are a huge disappointment, a huge waste of build-up, and a waste of time. This one is a look over there, tickle jelly donut joke. The second is a hairdryer on the lips, and the third is a fucking auto win because Stinky Dude's stench can't penetrate the helmet hat that Sandy's been wearing since we met her in episode 2. And then his own stench KOs him. Like, this was trash. It was an auto win. Why are these fights so ass? Sandy doesn't need donuts or a hairdryer or an auto win. She's good at karate and she's really smart. Why not have her outsmart her opponent? It's just these fights could have been fights. I think the aesthetics carry it to D tier. Could have been better. I'm moving on.
Top of the morning, 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 top of the morning.
All right, now we're starting to get into it. Now we're in C tier, which is what I consider to be good episodes. These are just solid episodes, which I still enjoy watching today. I might just have like one small issue with it.
Dirty Bubble, say your prayers. Meow.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I want to like this one more. I think it's conceptually great, you know, SpongeBob loses Gary, falls into the hands of a very villainous pet owner. It's still better than most of the 24-minute episodes, but this is as high as I could put it. But conceptually great, don't get me wrong.
Give it up for day 15!
I remember thinking this episode was so funny as a kid.
Wait, where'd you get that piano?
And I definitely voted for it 20 years ago.
I'm finished. I arranged them into a piano.
It still is a pretty funny episode, still a good concept. They're open 24 hours and Plankton orders 10,000 Krabby Patties. SpongeBob's mind blows up and has to go to therapy. It's not a bad concept, it's mildly funny. Admittedly, just not quite as funny as I remember.
There's old Iron Eye and Mutton Chop, me, Torpedo Belly, and Lockjaw Jones.
I'm gonna be honest, Shell of a Man is actually a pretty damn good episode. It's about vulnerability. It's actually exploring some really interesting stuff with Mr. Krabs. Like, this is much more a legit episode to me.
Take a good look. This is who I am.
I would give it one of the best of season 4. It's a good episode.
Champion of the deep!
The first Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episode, I feel like this is the same story as like jellyfishing and boating school and Plankton. It's actually a pretty good episode for meeting these characters and getting to know their dynamics. Good exposition, good moments, but the best of its kind is yet to come.
Happy Valentine's Day, Bikini Bottom.
This is a good holiday episode, just not one of the best holiday episodes. I really like a lot of little moments here, like the face that Patrick makes after the handshake. I
defy you, Heartman!
I guess the only thing I have wrong with it is it's a little slow at some parts and then really great at others, so it's kind of inconsistent.
It's just that I'm thinking of all the fun I'm gonna have with this piece of paper.
Some people might be mad that I put this one this low, and I wouldn't be mad if you put it higher up on your list. I'm gonna just be honest, there's a few episodes in old SpongeBob and OG classic SpongeBob that deal with themes of like Squidward finding fun or Squidward finding imagination, right? And I'm gonna keep it real, I think this one is the least effective of like the 4 or so that deal with that theme. I'll cover them as we get through the video. But I think SpongeBob wearing Squidward's shirt is incredibly cute and I love it.
I've come for your pickle.
Scaredy Pants gets easier to scare every year.
Yeah, so this is the better Halloween episode to me. I think it's like fine. I think it's very on theme for SpongeBob's character. He naively fails to be scary and everybody shitting on him. He accidentally is terrifying to everybody and scares everyone, like even the Flying Dutchman. It's good. Definitely the best part of the episode.
SpongeBob, Don't you know who that is?
Who?
That's the Tattletale Strangler.
Yeah, so SpongeBob Meets the Strangler just barely misses the top 100 for me. I just think that it's a lot like The Bully, and The Bully is better.
I lost something once. My identity.
People might also be mad that this one's low. I think it's still a really funny episode. It just feels like one of those that gets a little bit repetitive, a little bit tedious without really exploring new concepts too much. When I was making Crisis, Catastrophe, and SpongeBob, I was thinking about talking about this episode as an identity crisis, but I actually think this isn't the best episode for exploring an identity crisis. We'll get into that a little bit later. So all the episodes we just got through are the ones that I wouldn't include on the top 100 list. So now we're actually into fixing the top 100. Still in C tier. Let's keep it going.
Turn around. Gary, no. Gary, no. No. Don't do it, Gary. No, Gary.
Yeah, so I'm glad we have this episode where Gary dumps SpongeBob for Patrick, but then we find out it's just because of the cookie in his pocket. Good stuff to explore. SpongeBob missing his pet. Yeah, it's a good episode, just not as great as the ones above it, you know?
Here it is. Land squirrel.
This is solid exposition. It's one of the better exposition episodes with some very iconic scenes, like the Pinky scene, I Need It. Patrick supports SpongeBob in his nervousness, which I really like. The reason I place this in C tier, not any higher, is just because, despite it being a great introduction, I don't think it's the best Sandy episode. It is like the second episode, so they were getting started. Again, this is still a really good episode. Just small complaints being it's a little bit slow at times.
I thought he was dead.
As is the case with the C tiers, this was a really good episode that's a couple small improvements away from having no flaws to me. It's a really good concept. I just think the execution or enjoyability falls a little bit short. I don't feel quite as pulled into what's happening in this episode as I do in some of the other conflicts. It still entertains me, but in the best episodes, every scene I feel pulled into, and I don't quite feel that with this one.
Where'd you get that thing anyway?
I won it in a contest.
Contest?
They don't tell us anything anymore.
SpongeBob getting the conch signal and abusing it is a really good concept. It creates a fun conflict that, for me, does last the whole episode and being entertaining. It's decently funny. We get introduced to the dirty bubble, which is really cool, and then SpongeBob getting to stop him and earn their respect at the end is awesome and heartwarming.
There's only one way out. A teacher's ace in the hole. Extra credit!
Not the best Mrs. Puff episode, but getting there. So, of the few episodes that deal with Squidward grappling with fun and imagination, I think this one is next up in that it's a little better to me than the paper. Maybe you could argue that the paper is more conceptually iconic. I might agree with that. Snowball Effect is more of aesthetics. It's like a snowball fight. That's a big part of the appeal and the fun factor. Maybe you could put it either way. That's how I put them. I'm moving on.
Christmas. Tell me more about this Christmas.
I'll be honest, this is a really, really good holiday episode upon revisiting. I think the moral, even though it is 24 minutes, it actually kind of feels worth the time. I think the moral and the pivotal character development with Squidward here is actually phenomenal and speaks to the meaning of life, deadass.
Still hungry.
Still hungry.
Home Sweet Pineapple is a really good concept. SpongeBob loses his home to nematodes, which is a way to teach us about undersea life, and really learning about the struggles of being an independent adult. SpongeBob thinks he has to move back with his parents. I think it's good exploration, and it's really heartwarming at the end. They literally planted the seed that sprouted at the end of the episode. Is really cool. The only reason I'd put it in C tier is just because it's not the most consistent humor. It's kind of highs and lows for me.
But united, the Plankton family could be a real pain in the fanny!
Plankton's army is also a really, really good concept. We get to see all of Plankton's family, and the Sheldon bit is quite iconic and a great capturing of what it's like to try and be presenting a serious topic in front of a class of people who want to do anything but take it seriously.
For years, it has been my goal to acquire the secret formula for... But aha!
Yeah, it's a good episode, also iconic, with Mr. Krabs pretending that the formula is plankton at the end. It's a good episode.
Gary, where's your holiday spirit?
Opposite Day is good. Some people might smite me because I put it this low, but honestly, upon rewatch, I think the concept's like excellent. It's an excellent concept. I just think in execution and rewatching it, it gets a little bit repetitive, a little bit annoying at times. So just because we're being critical, that's why it's chilling down here.
Nobody has anything to dust or to clean or to wipe or fabricate.
This episode embodies big quarter-life crisis vibes for Patrick. I think there's some really witty writing in it. And, of course, the twist at the end where these dumbasses aren't even Patrick's real parents, so they're the greatest dumbasses of all. It's really, really good. It's a good episode. I'd just put it in C tier because it's a little bit repetitive, a little bit annoying at times.
Why does it take more than one squirrel to change a light bulb?
Why?
Because they're so darn stupid.
This one is insane. I think it's very, very memorable. I think we all know squirrel jokes. And when SpongeBob takes things too far and it starts to full-on neglect Sandy's feelings in her communication to him in light of his newfound success as a comedian, in order to prove her point, Sandy literally tortures SpongeBob. And I don't... Sandy literally goes hard in the paint and shoves her point down SpongeBob's throat, and there's conflicting opinions about the ending, if it really is like a good moral to be like, hey, if you're making fun of everybody, it's okay. So I would say that this episode perhaps could be a way to start that conversation, but definitely not finish it.
That proves it.
Proves what?
That land critters are better than sea critters.
This one's pretty solid. Like the live action moments, I really like.
Do we have to wear pickle jars?
Yeah, I think good.
Gary, looks like it's that time of week again. Bath time.
So this one's actually only 8 minutes, and I think it's pretty damn good with those 8 minutes. The concept of pet owner really trying to work with their pet and just having the worst time, I think, is epitomized in this clip where SpongeBob tries to put Gary down. He literally, like, appears back. It's, like, so good. Yeah, I think this is a really good episode. It does a lot in 8 minutes. Good stuff.
It also does tricks. He spits a giant pearl 100 feet in the air.
This episode is great, like, guilt exploration for SpongeBob because he believes that he's the one who disrupted the clam, right? Because he threw the peanut. We find out at the end that it was actually Mr. Krabs who's the bad guy. But the whole time, believing that SpongeBob is guilty and that people are out to get him and they're going to close in on him and catch him and solve the case. There's just a lot of good stuff that's explored and played with there. I think it's a really good concept, good execution, it's a good episode.
I call you a lady to humiliate and demean you. It's a motivational tool we coaches use.
I don't know why, but I think I'll kick SpongeBob's butt tomorrow.
The Great Snail Race is pretty iconic. We have a blowout is insane. Squidward's elitism with the purebred and SpongeBob's arc of overcoaching and overworking Gary really says something, and that resonated with me. Yeah, really good episode. All right, we're like at the top of C tier now, and up here is Krusty Love.
Hey, we're not talking about this or this. We're talking about this.
This is my $1 million earned! Every Krabs goal in life is to make $1 million!
Very, very classic episode. Mr. Krabs earns his $1,000,000, and to celebrate takes SpongeBob and Squidward on an amazing trip to go clam fishing. SpongeBob accidentally casts said $1,000,000 into, which Mr. Krabs is just keeping on his ass, by the way, for God knows why. SpongeBob flings it into the sea, is swallowed by a giant clam, and then Mr. Krabs proceeds to use SpongeBob and Squidward as bait in order to get this clam in a Jaws-like tribute episode to come back, retrieve the $1,000,000, ultimately trades all of his body except for his head and one arm to get it back, and that's how it ends. Insane episode. After that, I'm surprised it's high C tier, but it's a pretty stacked list, so go figure.
Now go home and get some rest. Just can't have you sneezing all over my food!
I love how SpongeBob gets sick. Like, you left your fridge door open overnight, freezing the whole house, and now you're so cold that you're sick. It's really, really funny. The live action clips are hilarious, and for an episode about getting sick, which is normally like lame and bleh, they make it a pretty fun-packed episode, all while still being funny and silly the whole time. So yeah, the concept's pretty decent, but the humor is great.
Thanks, Mrs. Puff.
What are the consequences of what I've just done?
I think the premise is great here, great concept, very, very memorable and entertaining. SpongeBob, despite Mrs. Puff delaying on making SpongeBob the hall monitor, making everybody else the hall monitor multiple times before SpongeBob, she finally gives it to him, and he completely destroys the whole city. It's good. It's a good classic memorable episode, pretty enjoyable.
Then you do this, then this, and this, then that, and this, and that, and this, and that, and then...
All right, here we are at the crown jewel of C tier, bubble stand. There's actually like basically no issues here for me. Like this is very, very iconic as an episode. I think the concept is fantastic. I bet you could think of at least a couple moments from this episode, from biting the nickel to technique to pelvic thrust to Squidward screaming into the bubble at the end. It's just a fantastic classic episode that really makes bubble blowing an integral part of SpongeBob.
Is you talking about? Niggas trying to revolt for the fucking clout. I'll be ready to shoot for my brothers. You try before, big, you afraid of 100 rounds.
Alright, now we have entered the B tier. These are what I consider to be really good episodes. I have no problems with them. I would put any of these on right now and thoroughly enjoy them. Now we're just in straight up good SpongeBob territory. It's all going to be really positive from here on out.
Arpeggiated B-flat scale.
Wow! I never thought to do it like that.
Well, that is because you rarely think.
What? A season 4 episode in the really good episodes tier? I know, I'm just as shocked as you. I think Patrick Smartpants is the best season 4 episode on this list. It feels very purposeful, and that to me is emblematic of what was so great about the original episodes. It felt like they had an idea worth exploring, and they wasted no time in doing that. Each scene is purposeful for setting up, progressing through, or resolving the conflict. This conflict takes the core of the relationship between Patrick and SpongeBob and completely disrupts the synergy and the synchronicity of their relationship. And I think the brain coral is a really creative way of enacting this shift. The shots of Patrick falling actually feel really memorable. This episode is a really interesting exploration of Patrick's character, of his relationship with SpongeBob, and it actually pulls on the heartstrings a little bit too. Patrick's recognition of emptiness and ultimately his choice to go back to being an idiot because he's happier and he's more fulfilled that way was the cherry on top. It feels like home when we get back to basics in the end, and I really, really like that about this episode. So there we go. That's the last season 4. I think it's the best one. Good job, guys.
Listen, you cross-anxious cheapskate! Squidward's been living at my house driving me crazy, and you're not gonna hire him back all because of a stupid dime!
Mr. Krabs' lucky dime has gone missing, and he accuses Squidward of taking it. Fed up with his bullshit, Squidward sticks it to him, says F you to Mr. Krabs, and quits his job at the Krusty Krab to unlock his potential and become anything he sets his mind to. And how does it go? It goes terribly. He loses it all and becomes homeless, and SpongeBob finds him, lets him crash at his place until he gets back on his feet. I think I enjoyed the ideas being explored here more than the jokes, if I'm being honest. I think this one places where it does on this list more so because of the concept than the enjoyability.
Don't worry, Pops. We're almost across the street.
Hey, get away from me. I don't need no snot-nosed little...
This is a really good episode about a midlife crisis. I enjoy the freak-out scene. You know me. Love me a really good freak-out scene. And this is another one of those that I explore a lot in my live video.
I thought of something funnier than 24.
Let me hear it.
25.
Patrick joins SpongeBob at school and distracts him, ruins his good noodle streak, and completely screws up the good reputation and forward momentum that SpongeBob had going for him at school. The well set up and fulfilled junior plotline with both the light bulb and the egg is really satisfying because of its simplicity and can be interpreted in a number of interesting ways. One could even look at the egg and the light bulb as symbolic for, I don't know, stability and meaning. Yeah, really, really good episode.
Hey, that story really speaks to me.
Really? What's it say?
It says now, I'm going to kick your butt twice as hard.
A decent concept executed very well. This is the second best "you what" in the show.
SpongeBob, I talked to Flats for you. I used your name.
You what?
I love this because SpongeBob does what every kid is told is like the right thing to do, and he confides his fears to Mrs. Puff about Flats coming to beat him up. And she does the actual worst possible thing imaginable. That's insane behavior and a huge iconic moment here.
Can't you see he's gonna kick my butt?
So, you like kicking butts, do ya?
I'm gonna be honest, I was trying to put this one in C tier just because there's too many. But yeah, I watched it again and goddammit, there's just too much good stuff in it.
Are you open?
Read the sign.
I'll have a Krabby Patty Deluxe and a double chili kelp fries.
No, you won't.
Graveyard Shift is excellent. For me, the concept's like a 10 out of 10 here. The execution is still good, but it's ranked really high conceptually for me. The feeling of working a night shift with only one other person is present here, absolutely. And the hash slinging slasher is a certified classic. I think the only reason this isn't an A tier is because of a couple small parts that come off as like a little more annoying than funny, but that's really it. It's still a solid episode to this day.
I wanna go home.
Texas is a very iconic episode. Everybody knows about this one. It's an extremely fundamental Sandy episode because we learn more about where she's from. We learn more about how she feels until they provoke Sandy to chase and hunt them. Barely escaping the jaws of death to reveal their senseless bullying was a ploy to get her to the Krusty Krab for their "We love you, please stay in Bikini Bottom" party. It's a very heartwarming ending and makes the initial mockery feel a little less cruel and more silly in hindsight, especially since Sandy can and will kick their ass over it any day.
Climb some things. We gotta jump off of stuff. I don't want to go to sleep yet.
This is a pretty good concept. We're learning about Sandy's upcoming hibernation, and for that reason she feels pressured to do a lot of living before she goes to sleep for the whole winter. But holy shit, this episode is stacked. Like, from an execution enjoyability standpoint, I think it outshines the concept and how iconic it is. I think just watching this is really, really fun. Yeah, this one's good shit.
Hey, buddy, you need a ride? I was just on my way to the big doofus convention.
Bossy Boots is really good, and what a creative way to raise the conflict at the last second, too. Not like one of the greatest episodes of all time, but I would consider it to be straight up good SpongeBob.
Think on your feet, SpongeBob. That's what got you this far. Buns! It's a stretch. But we all gotta try to push the envelope sometime.
Mr. Krabs decides to make a Krusty Krab commercial. Squidward directs it because he's, you know, artsy.
What's a Krabby Patty?
The commercial airs, and he was the DiCaprio meme before the DiCaprio meme was, which propels him into a tremendous ego boost for the rest of the episode.
Yes, I am that guy on TV.
Striped Sweater is a certified classic. I think this is just good on both fronts. It's a really good concept with really good execution. The humor is consistent. It's 11 minutes of silliness that makes me laugh and warms my heart.
That's what we've been waiting for!
When worlds collide, you'll laugh so hard, you'll swear you died. When worlds collide, hold my hand, I'll be your guide. When worlds collide.
Let's keep it real. We all know that SpongeBob BC, before comedy, also known as UGG, is the best of the 24-minute special episodes. It's the best concept and theme with the best execution and enjoyability. This is easily the best Patchy and Potty scenes. Holy shit, the gang's all here. The song at the end is awesome, and oh yeah, the actual episode is great too. We get to see SpongeGar, Patar, and Squog communicate with very minimal language and mostly gestures aided by noises.
Patar, Changa.
We get to see them discover fire, the dangers of it, the benefits of it. SpongeBob has a brain blast and discovers cooking, which is portrayed as an extremely exciting and satisfying moment, and I love that. They start to see all the advancements that they can make in their lives using this new discovery of cooking, and then self-interest, the divine ruler of all, kicks in and they fight over the fire. And this is still only in B tier.
We popped the balloon. We can't return it. We're thieves.
We find out Krabs 100% steals stuff and tells SpongeBob it's borrowing as long as you give it back before it's missed. They steal a balloon on Free Balloon Day, take off on the run, now 2 feet into their life of crime with no turning back now. It's a very classic episode with lots of great moments. There's just no complaints here.
What? Profits down $3 from last month. I gotta start running a tighter ship around here.
Mr. Krabs' iconic cheapness reaches a whole new level on this episode, and Squidward isn't taking any more shit from him. So they go on strike. It's a really great way to introduce a young audience to serious topics.
He needs us more than we need him. We are Workers United.
The way they ride the line between the seriousness that Squidward brings to the table and the obliviousness that SpongeBob and the at the time young audience watching it brought to the table is really, really interesting. Guess it's got a pretty doomer ending, doesn't it?
We got our jobs back forever. 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 It was his hat, Mr. Krabs. He was number one.
Ah! Am I really gonna defile this grave for money? Of course I am!
We want you boys to keep an eye on the place. Water the plants and make sure...
Oh my gosh, Patrick!
Yeah, so Mermaid Man Barnacle Boy 2 was better than 1, and I think 3 is better than 2. And to me, I think this one's a big step up. This is the Man Ray episode with Patrick. The iconic Wallace bit is still just as good to this day, if not better. And this arc that Man Ray goes through when he actually does break free.
The urge to do bad is gone! I guess I'll just open a checking account.
That's insane. I love it.
What happened? Someone tried to throw away a patty!
This is quite an episode. An old-ass Krabby Patty that Mr. Krabs refused to throw away hospitalizes him. The Flying Dutchman confronts him and declares that he's been too cheap, so he's sentenced to Davy Jones' locker, which, being portrayed as a literal, high school locker with smelly socks in it, is a really funny and clever way of kidifying the concept of, eternal punishment or spiritual torture or purgatory or whatever. Mr. Krabs gives his word to never be cheap again, and thus begins the born-again era. And I really enjoy this whole episode. My favorite detail is, of course, the fact that after all this, Mr. Krabs sells SpongeBob's soul for 62 cents. He learns absolutely nothing from this whole experience. He betrays his greatest and most loyal employee for pocket change, and the only reason it gets fixed is because SpongeBob is so damn annoying that the Flying Dutchman, basically a demigod, cannot handle it.
I only had him for 30 seconds. Jellyfish in this and Mermaid Man that. Why, not giving him back is a fate worse than death.
That is how you make SpongeBob being annoying a punchline that's funny for us and annoying just for the other characters. And that's because we aren't the direct recipient of the annoying. The Dutchman is, and he tells us about it as the resolving plot point, versus the earlier examples where we are the direct recipients of the annoying and is presented to us as if it is the entertainment, which insults our intelligence. And I don't believe in insulting your audience's intelligence even when your target audience is kids. I don't feel cheated that this is the resolution because it's a fundamental truth of SpongeBob's character and the logic of the universe. His relentless positivity and obliviousness to the ailments of normal people absolves him of all internal conflict, and consequently that makes him too annoying for the external conflict to be around him. Really good episode.
Well, I guess the first thing we should do is...
Yay! My first prom picture!
Iconic, classic, fun. The ending is fucking insane. No problems.
She fill my mind up with ideas. I'm the highest in the room.
I was gonna put this in C tier because being the literal first episode, I was worried the animation, the humor, and pacing might not just be up to par, but upon rewatching, nah man, they went hard in the paint. This is an excellent pilot. It honestly still holds up as just a good solo episode. Pacing is great, and in only 9 minutes we get familiar with SpongeBob's energy, his friendships and values, his goals, conflicts, and we get a feel for the internal logic of the show. Despite not being taken seriously, SpongeBob's overwhelming enthusiasm and one might be quick to call naivety drives him to save the Krusty Krab from true disaster, prove himself as more than capable of a fry cook, and secure his dream job at the Krusty Krab. So on the list from 2006, technically this one's attached with Reef Blower because that's 3 minutes and this is 9 minutes, so I guess we'll count these together. I think Reef Blowers is really good for being 3 minutes. It's actually kind of iconic and memorable. I don't want to put a 3 minute as its own episode on this list, so I'm going to count them together. They got ranked 62. Let's go.
Hi, Kevin.
Hi. What is your question?
Hi, Kevin.
Literally one of the most memorable episodes in SpongeBob. I would still put this on today, and I literally do still put this on. I literally do still put this on today.
The hooks, they dangle down and draw you close with their pleasing shapes and their beguiling color.
This one was good as a kid and became really good as an adult. This really excels conceptually. To me, it reads as a metaphor for getting hooked. SpongeBob literally plays hooky from work to go play hooky with Patrick, which can be interpreted as getting hooked on anything addictive, really. It's all fun and games riding up and literally getting high and then jumping down before facing any serious consequences. But if you get hooked, you're fucked. It's crazy how Mr. Krabs is genuinely sad for them when he thinks they're dead, in contrast to what we just saw a few episodes ago, selling SpongeBob's soul for 62 cents. Mr. Krabs as a father figure in a way to them, yeah, it's a little bit heartbreaking. Good episode, and I think it deserves to be top 60.
Go
Oh, SpongeBob, if only you could see inside my secret box, it would change your life.
This is a simple concept with incredibly good execution. And simple's not a bad thing. I think simple is often a really good thing. And the simple concept is Patrick is keeping a secret in a secret box. And the amount of mileage that they get out of this simple premise in 11 minutes is beyond impressive. And it makes us really feel like we're in SpongeBob's boat and we want to know what's inside this damn box too. It invokes a great sense of FOMO. My favorite scene easily is when SpongeBob sneaks into Patrick's house to steal a secret. And this is just like the embodiment of what it feels like to be trying to be quiet at night, and every little sound you make just sounds like this.
Who's that?
Like, this is perfect. And of course the ending is crazy.
Is this the Krusty Krab? No! This is Patrick!
I also talk about this one in my last video. This writing is really good because it feels honest and pure. The feelings that Patrick works through in this episode are really relatable and important, and the many classic moments along the way make it an enjoyable rewatch every time. I remember having this in book version and enjoying that as well, for what it's worth. I think this is a very memorable and iconic one. Krusty Krab needs to pull in more money, so they come up with the gimmick of doing a talent show. Of course, Squidward is into running it. His ego is all involved. He thinks he's the star of the show. We get this incredible dance routine. And of course, SpongeBob with the mop is very iconic as well. I'm always happy to put this one on. It's a lot of fun.
SpongeBob is the only guy I know that can have fun with a jellyfish for 12 hours!
Yeah, same as the last one. This is a really fun concept, and it was a banger 20 years ago, and it's a banger today. I genuinely think the dance sequences are edited really well. And you can tell they had fun making this, and that's what it's all about.
Dude, you're ripped.
Thank you.
This one is really fun to watch still, and I think it's been iconic for a long time. It's a pretty famous episode. It feels written in earnest, and it has a really funny payoff at the end when SpongeBob's arms blow up. Classic episode, no issues here. Proper B tier.
But you guys are way too old and unsightly for my beach, and I'm afraid I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
So polite. Just like we raised him.
Yeah, this is a decent concept with really good execution. SpongeBob wants to be a lifeguard, stumbles into that position, and is left with far too much lifeguarding responsibility for someone who doesn't know how to swim. I just feel like the humor is on point for most of this episode, and that's the biggest reason why it's up this high. Just really enjoy watching this every time.
All alone with Mermaid Man's belt. I wonder what this button does.
I feel like this one's just a little bit better than the last because SpongeBob acquiring the Mermaid Man belt and shrinking the entire city is just too tremendous of a consequence for me to deny, and there's tons of great moments here.
Patrick! And there comes a giant fish!
Patrick, no!
Yeah, this is bulletproof.
Hi.
This episode is a staple of my childhood and anyone around my age's childhood. Mystery is a beautiful, majestic beast, even if she eats all the Krabby Patties, even if she does belong in the wild, and even if SpongeBob should have named her Debbie. This episode does a good job of making us feel like we're hiding this with SpongeBob, and as the fear of getting caught by Mr. Krabs is easily relatable as a kid to the fear of getting caught by a parent or teacher, or even as a boss for whatever majestic beast you're hiding at school or work. Yeah, it's really good episode.
So, let's hear what you've accomplished since high school, Squiddy.
I think this is the second best Squilliam episode and is a really memorable redesign of the Krusty Krab into a 5-star restaurant with a very interesting condition, and that's that SpongeBob is able to miraculously save the day from a fine dining perspective, but at the cost of everything he knows, including his name. And this depiction of the abstract concept of thought, as well as its self-awareness that it is that, is fucking excellent. I think the humor is quite good in this, but this scene in particular is what skyrocketed all the way up to 51 of my list.
Sandy, that is your worst disguise yet.
No, it's not, SpongeBob. This is.
All right, we are in the top 50, and this is the real best karate episode. Good. Characters' actions are simply dictated by what they want, and SpongeBob wants to be a great employee at the Krusty Krab, and SpongeBob wants to be a great karate fighter, a great karate user. You take your character and you have two of their more compelling desires conflict with each other. How does that play out? And I think this episode does a great job of exploring that while giving us plenty of karate along the way. Like, I actually feel like we get more satisfying karate fight time in this one than in Karate Island. And maybe there is about the same, or maybe even a little more like actual time of fight scenes in Karate Island. But do those seconds really count if it's not compelling, if it doesn't feel like it matters? SpongeBob getting fired is a genuinely heartbreaking moment. I didn't think it would ever happen, and I don't know if any of us did. The interaction of karate with preparing Krabby Patties is really, really fun and satisfying way to conclude it all.
Mr. Krabs gives you that award so you'll work harder for no extra money.
Having pride in your work is nothing to be ashamed of. It's the only thing that makes it all worthwhile.
It's a very necessary unraveling of a central inner conflict between demonstrably the two most important characters in the series. Their perspectives clash, and Squidward says fuck it and genuinely tries to beat SpongeBob at his own game, which is a really cool arc for him. We almost never see him like this. Their brawl at the end is a highlight, and the final shot of the episode is impactful and iconic.
When Big Larry came round just to put him down, SpongeBob turned into a clown.
So much happens in this episode. This one is a straight up banger, and it's iconic and memorable for a reason. Alright, to me, this is the crown jewel of B tier, the really good episodes. And that's because the feeling conveyed here is very significant. It's really, really interesting to see because 99% of the time, SpongeBob loves his job and he's endlessly enthusiastic about the Krusty Krab despite it overworking and underpaying him on countless occasions. And man, the conflict between a heartbroken Patrick, his best friend coming to capture and rescue him, is a crazy one. It's impactful, man. Like, I felt this shit in my soul watching it. It's genuinely painful to watch Patrick struggle with this. It's like the scene in Warrior when the brothers are fighting and he doesn't want to keep fighting, but he knows he has to. This episode borders on A tier for me, that's why it's at the top of B, and I think it would be if I weren't just a little bit underwhelmed by SpongeBob's struggles after the chase arc. All right, this is where it gets crazy. We are now in A tier, which is what I consider to be the great episodes of SpongeBob. Every episode here is an episode that I would go out of my way to put on for myself and or others, and upon revisiting them, they have all met or even exceeded my hopes and expectations. My friend Adrian says it best, so I'll just let him describe why this episode is so significant.
It's just like, it's like a play on religion. Members are a part of some club and they listen to the messages and whims of something that seems completely irrational and nonsensical. And Squidward is obviously the high-minded, rational, free-thinking skeptic. And he just loses throughout the whole episode by trying to be like rational. As far as SpongeBob and Patrick are concerned, it was the magic conch that brought them this food, not this incredibly random coincidence of the Picnic Supplies Incorporated plane literally falling out of the sky when that ranger comes in. It's like the breath of civilization, of secularism, of the West has returned to rescue these savages from the state of nature. But no, he too is a member of the club. That face that Squidward makes, it is a thing of beauty. That face is our reward.
Open this unfinished bridge.
This episode is a trip, man. I don't know what they were on when they were cooking this one up, but I'm really glad they made it.
Well, you should be good for the rest of the...
What now?
I don't know!
This is such an awesome premise that they totally didn't have to do, but they did, and they went hard on the paint. Stepping into parenthood is SpongeBob and Patrick, who've taken a baby clam into their care. SpongeBob is great as a backbreakingly hard-working stay-at-home mother figure, partnered with a lazy and neglectful father figure. It's a hilarious conflict and a welcome one.
Be assertive!
Beep, beep.
not insertive.
And I think the iconic factor isn't the highest here, but man, the humor is. I think this is one of the best Plankton episodes. The Plankton versus SpongeBob dynamic here is awesome, and we aren't at the Krusty Krab. There's no Mr. Krabs or Squidward around here, so they're not going to intervene. Plankton gets to interact directly with SpongeBob, and so he takes advantage of his kindness, and he even convinces SpongeBob to join the dark side for a beat.
You'll all see.
Lives rent-free in my head and has my whole life, so I don't know what that says about me. This episode is really, really enjoyable. I think the jokes are just consistent and spot on. It's probably the least iconic and recognizable of the A tiers, and I'm fine with that. I really think it just shines on the humor and pacing alone.
This is a waste of time.
No, it's not.
Forget it. I guess you don't have what it takes to be a stand-up guy.
Fresh baked cookies, story time, a sweater with love in every stitch.
To me, this is a much better example of people being mean or people being dicks without going too far and without Sponge getting completely humiliated in a heartbreaking way. I mean, these guys are weird as hell for following him home to his grandma's house and staring outside the window. Like, these are fucking weirdos. But it's not over the top like Squidward bullying SpongeBob and Fools in April. There's a lot of really, really funny moments with Patrick here. I think the grandma is goated, as grandmas tend to be, the ideal grandma. The way this episode bridges a gap between childhood and adulthood, really interesting and warm-hearted, as most of OG SpongeBob is. And I honestly think symbolically this is such a beautiful resolution, both the sideburns and the cookie. Perhaps both stability and meaning, both the childlike imagination and freedom and sense of play, and the adult structure and stability and meaning. Grandma's Kisses rank 42. This is a great concept and execution, classic as fuck episode. This got rank 100 on the kids list. This is one of those episodes that was like fine as a kid and only weighs more and more the older you get. I love how much SpongeBob catastrophizes over a small assignment that ultimately gets canceled anyway. If that isn't a brilliantly relatable feeling to immortalize, I don't know what is. I have so much fun with this episode. Killer robots taking over the world and SpongeBob's fears successfully spreading to Squidward is an interesting change of pace. We're not used to Squidward being in on the stupidity like this. It's a blast of an episode from start to finish, and this is the type of silly shit that makes you laugh as a kid, and I still find myself laughing today.
Get information.
I never thought I'd say this, but SpongeBob, let's get that poop.
You're good. And stop. Don't worry, Captain. We'll buff out those scratches.
This is by far the best Dutchman episode. It's like 15 minutes, but it's worth it. That's how good it is. This episode shows us that the Flying Dutchman is both really powerful and scary, and that he in fact holds the cards at any given moment. But despite that, he is not immune to a constant stream of impediments to his simple goal of scaring people, because SpongeBob and Patrick are too fucking naive and annoying, and they're just bad at it and can't do it right.
Those guys are dorks.
Yes, but they're my dorks.
You're good. You're good.
We are not the immediate recipient of the annoying. Flying Dutchman is, once again. And because that, the stupidity means something. It means that he can't get his way working with these two barnacle heads. And that's a funny predicament, because he should be able to get his way in simply scaring people, considering how actually powerful he is. He literally can send people to hell. If this scene were just them being annoying, for the sake of them being annoying and not for the sake of impeding on the Flying Dutchman's goals, then it doesn't mean anything, and they're just being annoying to us, and the expectation that that in itself is enough for us, that is the entertainment, once again, is an insult to our intelligence. Yeah, this episode's really, really great.
During hibernation, animals don't like to be woken up. That means you, SpongeBob.
Great Sandy episode. Watching these classics makes me realize how well Sandy is utilized as a portal to the human world, the familiar land world that we know while we're learning about all these sea creatures. When they're locked inside the freezing cold winter with the hibernating Sandy inside, the only refuge from the blistering cold is ripping off Sandy's fur with duct tape. Sandy is scary enough in her normal form, but hibernation Sandy is an incredibly scary villain. It's like a final boss. So watching this episode, we do feel like we're in SpongeBob and Patrick's boat, and we don't want them to wake up Sandy and get caught, because if they do, they're totally fucked. I love this. Right after they go through with it and somehow, some way, get the fur, make it out okay. The way the winter just cuts to being over is so fucking good.
Oh, I got dead again. again.
This one is truly mind-boggling to this day. They didn't have to do this, but they did. And you know, it just wouldn't be SpongeBob without this episode. I do think the show wouldn't be as great without it. Whatever they were reading and watching at the time of cooking this one up, give me some of that. I think the concept is high and the execution is high. This is the best and most classic horror episode of SpongeBob. I think Frankendoodle is a fantastic villain because he's seemingly so innocent as a pencil-drawn creation by SpongeBob, yet so powerful and perplexingly determined. He's like a force of nature, just pursuing SpongeBob until death. In a show that has lots of great live-action moments, I think this is the best interaction between live action and the real world, up there with David Hasselhoff in the movie. Doodlebob genuinely feels dangerous and scary, and overcoming this is important for SpongeBob. He must defeat his own creation. Doodlebob believes that he's real and that SpongeBob is a doodle. He's trying to steal his life. And in the defining moment of it all, SpongeBob intuitively realizes and acts upon a clever solution. This is the type of conflict resolution that's great. This is what the Sandy fights in Karate Island needed. I love this concept and it's executed really well. When you have an evil genius who can invent stuff, you gotta have episodes like this. Like, this is a machine that Plankton should have made. It's very interesting to explore the role reversal when he literally switches lives with Mr. Krabs. And what a way to put your own spin on the grass is always greener moral. You don't need me to tell you this one is one of the most memorable episodes of all time, and yeah, the execution and enjoyability is still really high if you ask me. They're on fire with their humor at this point, just fully in stride.
Let's use the secret entrance.
I think utilizing the close-up of the butterfly with sound effects is so smart and stamped in our memories forever. What a way to toy with the inherent fear of bugs. Their misunderstanding of this creature as a murderer of Wormy, not the evolved form of Wormy, is what leads to their catastrophizing, which leads to the literal destruction of Bikini Bottom. The literal catastrophe. Until Sandy comes home and is a hero.
A little texture never hurt. There we go. This Sunday's gonna taste great.
Lots of iconic images and scenes in this one. The bad breath bowling ball.
My leg! Distraction to you.
Not at all, boy!
The confusion that the problem is that SpongeBob's ugly and not smelly breath just because Patrick can't smell is an interesting twist. The melodramatic piano scene is awesome. Prime SpongeBob. It's a unique and memorable concept that's entertaining and compelling all the way through. And hugging Squidward and telling him what they've learned after it all is such a good cherry on top.
We stink!
Yes!
Diabolical Krabby Patty ever spawn!
The nasty patty.
This is such a great concept, man. Like, I am always down to watch SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs genuinely believe that they killed a health inspector. The guilt that they share, the teasing and poking at that guilt, the whole episode is phenomenal. The humor is great, and when the pressure turns on and the truth comes out, Mr. Krabs is quick to throw SpongeBob under the bus. Not that we're surprised, but an insane concept with great execution, and I love that we have it.
How could you do this, SpongeBob? Giving me secret formula to this imposter!
This easily to me is one of the best and most classic Plankton episodes. Like, this is good SpongeBob. They were really hitting their stride in season 2. The sound effects on point, humor and pacing on point. The fact that SpongeBob takes the reign and tells them that he's the captain now at the end is awesome. It's a high stakes scene. I feel so enthralled in it despite knowing its outcome. It's just full of so many great moments.
Ravioli, ravioli, Great Barrier Reef.
It's over that way.
Holy smokes!
I just always have gravitated towards this episode. I just have fun watching it, you know? It's always been super enjoyable for me. I love the story of humanity and divinity. Whenever SpongeBob is punking bad guys or gods or bad guy gods, it's funny to see his innocent happiness radiate and overcome them all. And this really communicates the power of humble, honest art and love and care over the soulless mass production of substance, making copies of copies rather than starting anew with something genuine and pure. It really communicates, and that's why I love it so much. It's almost like this is a metaphor for the episodes I don't think are that good and the ones that are actually great. It's good ingredients assembled with care. It's loving the process and the product. God damn it, this episode's going in A tier. SpongeBob defeats a literal god, top 30.
Rev up those fryers, cause I am sure hungry for one. Help! Help! My leg!
Pirates!
Ah! Where am I? Is that me? Or is this me?
Such a great concept and execution. This is a very well done dream sequence episode that effectively explores the subconscious of our core cast and transitions between the worlds seamlessly. I enjoy each and every world we immerse into. It's a very clever and creative way to get to know these characters on literally a deeper level.
You know what we say?
The only people who don't like a Krabby Patty have never tasted one.
And now we have arrived at the crown jewel of A tier. This right here is the golden standard to me of what the OG episodes were doing right that started to feel very absent after the first 3 seasons and the movie concluded. You can have great aesthetics, but aesthetics by themselves do not often make a compelling conflict. They can support a compelling conflict. They can make a compelling conflict more recognizable and memorable. And what often creates those conflicts is taking the core beliefs of your character and challenging them. You take a guy like Squidward. This guy's the most cynical guy in the show. He hates SpongeBob. He hates the Krusty Krab. He hates Krabby Patties. Take a guy like him, have him find out that he actually loves the taste of Krabby Patties. Well, shit. What the fuck do we do now? We can't admit we're wrong. Anything but that. It's such a good conflict that they get a lot of juice out of with a very, very satisfying payoff at the end.
That's what I thought you said. Now let me offer this as a rebuttal.
Holy shit, we have now entered the S tier. If A tier was what I consider to be great episodes of SpongeBob, S tier are the best episodes of SpongeBob. I think all of these are perfect or very close to it, and they go so far above and beyond the expectations that I would have for an 11-minute cartoon that over 20 years later, I still think they are fantastic. Almost all of them are very high in iconic factor and widely considered to be classics and fan favorites of the golden era of SpongeBob. And it goes without saying, I can and will and do go out of my way to put these episodes on all the time. To me, this is the greatest of the Plankton episodes. Instead of stealing the Krabby Patty formula, Plankton cashes in on a multi-year-long hustling scheme in which he was throwing card games with Mr. Krabs with the long-term endgame goal of getting him to bet SpongeBob's contract so he can steal him as an employee and force him to make the Krabby Patty for him. It's really heartbreaking to see Sponge and Krabs get split up like this, and being in the chum bucket feels like being uncomfortable in an unsettling place that you didn't ask to be and would not like to still be in. And the looming threat of Plankton extracting SpongeBob's brain and putting it in a robot if he does not comply. It's creative and scary. This song is one of the most legendary moments in this series, and it's genuinely enjoyable to listen to. You can tell they put some real heart into it. Mr. Krabs coming with the pipes. This is such a baller episode. Once again, SpongeBob being stupid and annoying is used cleverly here because when he refuses to make the Krabby Patty, Plankton does fulfill on his threat, and he does put SpongeBob's brain in the robot. Holy shit. But his stubbornness and obnoxiousness persists. It is deeply embedded into his brain, perhaps into his soul. You can take the brain out of the sponge, but you can't take the sponge out of the brain. Great fucking episode.
Krabs is,
Alright, we are now in the top 25, and Sailor Mouth absolutely belongs in it. This is an insanely classic episode. What a brilliant way of making an episode that's about cursing without making an episode with cursing. I've always loved this since I was a kid, and anytime any adults were around me when I was watching this, they also found it super, super funny. It's just such a brilliant storytelling device. The noises themselves are pretty silly, but being able to fill in the blanks of what they might be saying is hilarious. It's like a 10 out of 10 concept with like 9 out of 10 execution for me. This episode is dynamite.
I'm walking the Krabby Patty over to Squidward.
The shoe tying episode that came out at the age we were learning how to tie our shoes. I knew this was iconic as fuck, but I was curious, how much does the humor and enjoyability hold up? Well, actually, a lot more than I expected. The amount of juice they get out of this simple conflict of having untied shoes and not knowing how to tie them is insanely good. One of the most memorable episodes and songs in the series, too.
You make a loop-de-loop and pull.
The Dutchman stuff is a joy every time. The poop loop, Gary saving the day, is an insane twist. I have no doubt that anybody that grew up watching SpongeBob remembers this episode, and I would still highly recommend a rewatch. I think it does, in fact, hold up and exceeds my expectations.
I think we're on the wrong
This is great stuff. Some people might be mad that it's only 23, but for me, that's just because the enjoyability is a little bit lower than the iconic factor for this one. The way that it wins, the way that it's in the top 25, is by being a remarkably iconic and important concept. This feels like being at rock bottom. They literally created an embodiment of the feeling of being at rock bottom by making it a place. I think it's fantastic.
He's finally stolen me secret recipe!
Perhaps not, Monsieur Krabs, for it's SpongeBob SquarePants!
Easily one of the most iconic episodes of SpongeBob, one of the classics. SpongeBob's mission to see through it all, to see through Plankton's attempts to get a Krabby Patty, and to believe that what he really needs is just to have one friend. And I'd say watching it start to finish actually holds up really, really well too. The way Plankton genuinely is starting to have fun with SpongeBob too is an incredible character arc for him too, and it's a testament to the power of SpongeBob's worldview and how powerful and convincing this guy is. He's like doing a Naruto talk no jutsu to these guys. Like all the episodes in S tier, this episode is jam-packed, and the genuinely heartbreaking ending to this is crazy.
Tell me!
Wow! How do you think we get inside?
We don't. We're just ring the windows.
This one is just funny as fuck to me. This is what I'm talking about when I said that there would be better Sandy episodes after we first met her. This one is full of so much science gadgets and fun stuff to explore, and it really differentiates the importance that Sandy treats her work with in contrast to SpongeBob's all fun and games attitude. And man, I would have thought that they would have took off into space way earlier in the episode, but we're 5 minutes in, which is almost halfway, and we're still playing around with stuff. And I'm not saying this as a critique, I'm saying it's impressive how much exploring we do at the beginning. And then their whole complete misperception that they went to an identical world on the moon in which they're alien hunting is a really good concept that you can tell they had a lot of fun playing around with. Yeah, this is prime SpongeBob, S tier as fuck. Very much enjoying Mr. Krabs' 2 separate freakout sequences. Technically, it's a triple-decker when you count his bad night, and they really convey this feeling of having a rough night of sleep. I'm actually really enticed pretty much the whole episode. I can totally understand someone being annoyed by all the squeaking noises, because it is thoroughly embedded into the plot, but if you can tolerate it for 11 minutes, I think it's a lot of fun. It's like when you get into listening to Danny Brown, and his voice is weird at first, but then it grows on you, and you want to hear more and more of it. And the fact that SpongeBob blames himself thinking that he lost the boots is crazy and plays a lot into Krabs' guilt. Is he just going to let SpongeBob keep believing this? By the third freakout sequence, they are popping off. Like, yeah, they were really cooking with this one. This is what I meant earlier when I said they really hit their stride when they got going. And this isn't even halfway into season 1. It actually didn't even take them that long to get going.
I've got to tell someone about this! Hey, all you people! Hey, all you people!
This is by far the best jellyfishing episode. The blue jellyfish No Name being the one uncatchable jellyfish for SpongeBob. The jellyfish jelly being a delicious addition to a Krabby Patty. Mr. Krabs capitalizing on the lightning in a bottle moment of the jelly. And No Name kidnapping SpongeBob to show him the ugly truth of Mr. Krabs' operation.
Seeing someone win at capitalism is fucked because it leaves us asking, are we playing the right game?
Highly rewatchable, relevant, and important. Great episode. That's why it's in the top 20 and why it's an S tier. S tier is the best episode. This is the best jellyfishing episode. There's like the best Sandy episode, best depression episode, best Plankton episodes.
Darn, I wish I had a buddy to play with. I know, I'll make one.
Yeah, this one has always been a classic, and rewatching it, it is still jam-packed and makes you wonder how they do so much in 11 minutes. Yeah, great concept, great execution, nothing else to say. It's one of the best episodes of SpongeBob.
Boring! Food! Water! Atmosphere!
Love the moral and the meaning just as much as I love the jokes and watching it. SpongeBob literally gets the Krusty Krab in this episode. My favorite thing about this episode is the fact that SpongeBob, despite being hurt by Krabs and Squidward, listens to his inner voice that he knows this is a good idea, and he brings his vision into the world as a reality. This episode is a dream come true. Again, an epic win of tremendous proportions by getting the Krusty Krab at the end. One of the best episodes of SpongeBob.
Put my windows back!
No problem, Squidward. We're on your side.
If the paper was the level 1 example, Snowball Effect was better than that, so it's level 2. And if you count just one bite in this list, which I guess you could, then that's level 3, and then I would make this level 4. And this is because of how they elicit this transformation out of Squidward. When you want your character to be pushed and stretched to change their point of view, how do you get them to do that? Do you have them get proven wrong by people who've been telling them the whole time and then admit it? Hell no. People hate doing that. They avoid admitting they're wrong to the ends of the earth. People hate admitting they're wrong. A much more effective way of getting someone to authentically and organically have a change of heart come out and bring it out into the world is take someone who's, let's say, uptight, like Squidward, learning to embrace spontaneity and fun. You don't put them with spontaneous and fun people who are telling them that that's the way. That'll just push them farther in the opposite direction. But what you do is you put them in a group of people that are uptight like him. No, even more uptight than him. Now that is interesting, because that's where he can draw the line of how uptight is too uptight for him. And being around these schmucks, it makes him want to be more fun and bring more of that into his life to make up for the lack of it that they're not bringing to the table. It's brilliant. It's such a classic episode. I think the ending is just perfect. Fantastic stuff.
68 years old and I want a Krabby Patty.
Your pipsqueak is getting cold. Shall I feed you?
Feed this, old man.
We are in S tier with the best Plankton episodes, the best Sandy episodes, the best jellyfishing episode, and now the best Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episode. For sure. Of course this is the best Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episode. I mean, what greater ultimate villain than the ones we've already established, led by Barnacle Boy himself switching to the dark side? And what better call to action than assembling the Avengers of Bikini Bottom, led by Mermaid Man, the IJLSA. This is such a fun episode. It's more than just a Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episode because you get the whole cast involved. Great concept, great execution. It's so much fun every time.
In all the museums of the world!
Dude, you're teaching art at the rec center. Calm down.
This episode is a brilliant commentary on art, and that's why it's in the S tier. Squidward and SpongeBob's interactions are so good and important here. Squidward's learned by the book discipline stamps out SpongeBob's intuitive creative genius. And this is so great because it's highly enjoyable to rewatch and so much meaning can be derived from it. Bold and brash is goated. Great episode.
More like belongs in the trash.
Even one drop, I'll have your rear ends cut off and mounted over me fireplace.
The enjoyability is sky high with this one. I had this one on DVD as a kid and remember feeling like it was one of the funniest episodes, and all this time later, I still feel the same way. It's pretty much constantly engaging and entertaining. The threat of Mr. Krabs getting mad at them for getting paint on his stuff and removing their butts as a result to mount them on his wall is both scary and hilarious. Yeah, they just knocked this one out of the park. It's funny as fuck. That's why it's earned a spot near the top of S tier. This is the best Sandy episode to me. The A plot of SpongeBob and Sandy's adventure versus the worm is incredible. The B plot of Patrick and the rest of Bikini Bottom pushing the city somewhere else is insanely goated. And the way that those A and B plots come together at the end is beautiful, despite how unimaginably tragic it would be to exist in that universe any longer than the episode takes us there. I think my favorite thing that Mr. Krabs has ever said is in this episode.
No! You'll never get a cent out of me! I'd rather that worm come in here right now and eat you all alive!
And then he just realizes that he just literally freaked out in front of everyone and told him his deepest inner thoughts, and they're all just staring at him. He starts crying. It's an insanely classic episode, still holds up. That's why it's second best in S tier.
I'll have to stay here and enjoy myself.
This is the greatest mental breakdown in the series. I started to find this episode fascinating beyond just being the Aaron's episode when I realized that the entire conflict is all in Squidward's head. There never were any problems to begin with. Me seeing Squidward's overthinking and worrying, catastrophizing, cause him to experience as much challenge and conflict and trauma as like a real villain episode would, or a real adventure journey conflict would, knowing it's all just in his head, there never are any problems in the first place, that really communicates to me how much unneeded, unnecessary suffering is that we know is there, but it wasn't really put into the spotlight until I could see it in someone else like this. All right. Either you skip to the end to see if I even know what I'm talking about before you watch this whole video, or you just finished watching everything at the beginning up until now and you are near completion of the full worst to best journey, because we are now in double S tier. These are so great that I consider them beyond just the best of SpongeBob. I think these are the goated episodes of SpongeBob, the greatest of all time. This is no game, folks. This is my genuine top 10 episodes of SpongeBob, because rewatching them over 20 years later, I still get a significant amount of enjoyment out of them. I think these are all fantastic concepts with fantastic execution. I am often both emotionally and intellectually stimulated watching these episodes. I would go out of my way to put them on for myself or others, and will continue to look to them for inspiration for the rest of my life as a creative as well. And of course, these are all so good, we're splitting hairs at this point. I could easily respect a top 10 list that had these same top 10, reoriented, rearranged a different way or whatever. But after sitting on it for a long time, I feel good about where I have these ranked for my taste. Here we go.
Good.
Oh, these aren't homemade. They were made in a factory. A bomb factory. They're bombs.
There are no two ways about it. Dying for Pie is just straight up an excellent episode of SpongeBob. Squidward says it best when he says,
"You could never pay me enough to act brotherly toward that guy."
And when he's forced to, and so carelessly in buying a gift, just buys a pie that's actually a bomb that he believes SpongeBob has eaten and is going to kill him. The guilt exploration here is phenomenal. It's entertaining the whole episode. Squidward getting dragged along by SpongeBob all day and thinking he's such a good person for trying for one day after implanting a bomb in him.
I am such a good person.
And for him to be confronted with how much of a piece of shit he's been to SpongeBob is flourishing one of the most central conflicts of the show between the two most important characters. And I think it's still pretty goddamn funny the whole way through too.
Let's eat. C-A-M-B-F-I-R-E-S-O-N-G song. C-A-M-B-F-I-R-E-S-O-N-G song.
All right, the camping episode is really, really special in the context of this video and fixing this list, because it's the only episode to make it to the top 10 of both lists. Somehow, some way, despite season 4 dominating the kids' votes from 20 years ago, the camping episode was an instant classic and is recognized by both young and old as a goated episode. The sea bear in particular is the best part of this, and I think almost anyone would tell you that. The campfire song also very, very memorable and fun. This is just what you think of when you think of like the best of SpongeBob.
We don't deliver. We don't deliver, but you do.
I think Emp Lemon described it best in his SpongeBob video.
For the whole journey, Squidward wants to quit. He doubts SpongeBob time and time again and even tries to sabotage the delivery at one point. This barnacle head gives SpongeBob such a brutal dose of reality that it completely shatters his naive, optimistic bubble. And we get a rare moment where SpongeBob is genuinely dejected. This prompts one of the most memorable scenes in the whole series when Squidward puts his cynicism aside and sticks up for his friend.
There's a high level of emotional significance to this episode because of the massive character arc that Squidward undergoes. And the journey that they embark upon feels epic despite it being a neighborhood delivery. Easily one of the most iconic episodes of SpongeBob for good reason. Easiest double S tier of my life. I don't even have to think about it. This is for sure one of the best and most iconic episodes of SpongeBob and holds up to this day. And I think it's brilliant that this is the only episode that deals with these themes, that only has this feeling, this nature. You just need one. This whole show isn't about existentialism, but you just throw one in there because the people watching this are human beings and we get lots of existential questions, and just making this one and putting it there. And we don't quite understand what it means yet. It just feels a little weird and we know that something's there. And then the older you get, the more you get out of it. And the minimal abstract representation of like nothingness or meaninglessness or placelessness or whatever you want to interpret this as is so beautifully simple and iconic. I think the concept of this is like 11 out of 10. That even though there really aren't that many jokes in this, I get so much enjoyment out of it.
How are you two making those noises?
Oh, that's easy. All you need is a box.
And Imagination.
All right, and here we are. This, to me, is the crown jewel of Squidward finding fun and intuition and imagination. Squidville is level 4, and to me, Idiot Box is level 5, the best of them all. And that's because the literary device here. They did all of this without showing us anything from any of the imagination. It is just the exterior shot of the box with the implication that SpongeBob and Patrick are in there, and we get the sound effects. It is just the sound effects. So it forces you to use your imagination to connect the dots, to fill in the blanks. This is the peak of Squidward realizing fun, if you ask me. And how he's just tortured with the idea of how do those two work that thing? It's so fucking funny every time. I feel like the enjoyability is off the charts here too.
Remember, Patrick, flatter the customer. Make him feel good.
Hello?
I love you.
In the top 5, we of course have Chocolate with Nuts. As a kid, this dude's fiendish fixation with chocolate is one of the highlights of the episode, but as an adult, man, the multi-layered scamming that goes on with this guy in particular is a big highlight. The candy bar bags and candy bar bag carrying bags is genius. The young lady and Is Your Mother Home and her just being like a stick is an all-timer. SpongeBob and Patrick ultimately learning that they just have to lie to people in order to make money is hilarious and a funny commentary on entrepreneurism and salesmanship. Always a joy to come back to this episode. I believe most, if not all, people would put Chocolate with Nuts in their top 10. I put it in my top 5.
Weak constitutions may want to leave the stadium.
I gotta get out of here!
Too late!
The Fry Cook games might have like the highest enjoyability. The Fry Cook games has just about the highest enjoyability that SpongeBob can get from me. Like from the moment this episode starts, it is going. This is one of those just jam-packed start to finish, peak enjoyability the whole episode. And I bet you could name at least a couple moments without having to think too hard. I love all of the challenges here, all of the jokes, the conflict between Krusty Krab, Chumbucket, SpongeBob, and Patrick. This is what Karate Island wishes it was, as far as like us giving a shit about the challenges or about the fights. These are actually both aesthetically pleasing and good writing and fucking meaningful. Conflict is meaningful to the characters. There's actually depth here, as well as the surface level aesthetics that support that depth. I feel the same way about the Krusty Krab training video as I do about the Fry Cook games, just slightly to a stronger extent. I think they were on fire with this episode. Again, from the moment it starts, they were cooking. Top 5 episode. The concept and execution are both 10 out of 10 here. Rewatch this episode. This is what we've been waiting for. This is why we're here. This is peak SpongeBob. I have no complaints. This is still such a fantastic episode, all the way down to the most iconic moment at all, where they tease telling us the Krabby Patty formula at the end and it cuts out. God, incredible episode. It wholeheartedly deserves a top 5 spot.
We're with the pet hospital down the street, and I understand you have a dying animal on the premises.
A lot of people would put Band Geeks at number 1. That indeed is a fair pick, a safe pick. The whole community rallying behind Squidward for no fucking reason, honestly. He doesn't even deserve their help, but they just literally decide to pretend that he's a good person so they can motivate themselves to help him. There's so many iconic scenes, the enjoyability is through the roof, and of course, the sweet victory song at the end, and Squidward overcoming his arch nemesis Squilliam. The spiritual conclusion to the show with Squidward succeeding as an artist.
This moment, right here, is the true spiritual series finale of SpongeBob SquarePants.
Fantastic episode. I would totally respect someone putting at number 1 still, even though it's kind of a popular vote. I think the fan animated version of this is one of my favorite fan created SpongeBob things ever. I would respect you putting it at number 1, but for me, top 3.
You forgot the pick. The best there is? I don't think so.
I did not expect this, and you know what they say, you don't choose the episode chooses you. This resonates with me the strongest out of all the episodes of SpongeBob, because Bubble Bass is an incredible villain. SpongeBob is able to overcome demigods like the Flying Dutchman and every other big bad in the show, because he's so relentlessly positive and naive and annoying and oblivious. So he can overcome them. What's the greatest enemy to him that he can't overcome is someone someone who is so manipulative, far more manipulative and intentionally evil than Squidward, is Bubble Bass, someone who is willing to not only lie but gaslight SpongeBob. Because when he comes in and he challenges SpongeBob to make him his burger as the picky food critic that he is, SpongeBob actually does make it correctly. Bubble Bass hides the pickles under his tongue. Knowing that SpongeBob did succeed on the challenge, he still chooses to make him believe that he fucked up. I think this is one of the most evil and worst and manipulative things that you can do to someone, especially because it's intentional. That Bubble Bass is the most evil villain in the show. He may not be the most powerful, but he is the most evil. And this is the ultimate conflict for SpongeBob. This breaks him. And this is the episode that I think is about the identity crisis, more than missing identity, where the identity crisis is that he just left his name tag on his shirt. This is a real identity crisis. SpongeBob is the great fry cook of the Krusty Krab. Like, he's SpongeBob fucking SquarePants. He doesn't mess up these patties. And being challenged publicly by this ultimate food critic, Bubble Bass, and failing and no longer being the guy that always gets it right, it brings out a significant amount of cognitive dissonance in how he sees himself as a person, and it destroys him. So SpongeBob is completely broken and he's sent to mental hell. He doesn't know who he is anymore. He is so confused. He's broken, and Mr. Krabs comes to help him out as like the sensei. He doesn't learn any information that wasn't in his head before. You know, he knew all the ingredients after all. What SpongeBob has to grapple with and learn here is reasserting himself as a person. He has to choose to step back into life. This is the story about being broken. This is a story of redemption. The way that the community rallies behind him.
Hey, SpongeBob's back.
SpongeBob brings a tear to my eye. SpongeBob stands his ground and reconfronts the dragon, reconfronts Bubble Bass. And this scene says, I know who I am. This scene says, I know what I'm about. With his newfound confidence, confronts Bubble Bass. He plays the same trick again, and SpongeBob knowing, no fucking way. I didn't fuck that up. I know who I am. I know what I'm about. He points out that Bubble Bass has been lying the whole time. He's outed as even a greater piece of shit than we already knew him to be, and SpongeBob is victorious. And this episode is that great conceptually, and I didn't even mention all of the actually just straight up funny parts that are in it as well. And that is why Pickles is my rank 1 episode of SpongeBob.
Why, it tastes so good. I think I'd like to try it a second time.